We're going to demonstrate for you 2 Scottish country dances. These are both old dances with tunes that would have been around in the world, and particularly in Scotland during the time of Pyramids. This first one is a strathspey, the Ingercalled reel.
I made a mess over here. I need to clean it. I need to clean it. Okay, I'm out. Sorry.
Our second dance is the Montgomery Grand, 1749, and they speculate that this was done by a bunch of loyalists, Stuart folk who wanted the Stuart kings to be the monarchs of Scotland. So we don't really know that for a fact, but the place where they dance this still exists, and every now and then someone does this dance in that castle, the Montgomery's Ranch.
Sorry. What do you want me to do? This is my favorite dance, whichever's dancing. Sorry. Was that safe for someone? Was that safe? I thought it started.
Burns is, here is the haggis, and it would be, oh, here's the haggis. Looks good. Why don't we cut it up and eat it? But he takes it and expands us into this glorious poem with all kinds of heightened exaggerations and wonderful tongue-in-cheek about the wonderful haggis, because this is like the lowliest sort of food. It's because you slaughter a sheep and you sell off the good parts, get some money, and then everything else in there that you can eat, you mince up and you mix with oatmeal and you put it in the sheep's stomach and then you boil it, and out comes this. But this is what he says about it. Your honor, what is it?
Use the microphone, please.
Oh dear, do I have to do that? All right, here we go. Thank you. Fair fool, your honor, soncy face, great chieftain on the put in the race. O boon them all, ye take your place, punch, straight, and firm. Weel are ye worthy o'er grace, as lags me arm. The groan and trencher there ye fill, your hurdies like a distant hill. Your pin would help to mend the mill in time o' need. And through your pores the dews distill like amber bead. His knife, see rustic daber decked, and caught ye up with ready select, drenching your gushing entrails breath like any ditch. Then, oh, what a glorious set, warm, reeking, rich. Then, horn for horn they stretch and strive, till take the hindmost on they drive, till all their well-filled kites benign are bent like drums. Then our good man, my sight alive, be thanked hums. Is there that on his French ragout, or oil that would stow a soup, or fricassee would make her spew, with perfect scorner look down with sneering, scornful view on sick on dinner? Poor dear. Poor dear. See him on his trash, as feckless as a withered rash, his spindle fang a neat whiplash, his knee a knit, through bloody flood or field to tread. Oh, how unfit! But mark the rugged haggis fed, the trembling earth resounds his tread, grasping his walling eve of lead. He'll make it a whistle, and and legs, and arms, and heads will sned like tops of forest. Ye poorers, what knock mankind your care, and dish them up their billow fare. Old Scotland once, nay, skinking where the jumps in luggies. But if ye wish her grateful prayer, give her a haggis. Ladies and gentlemen, to the haggis. So grab your drink to a haggis.
So I am going to do this speech to tell you all about Robert Burns, and this is called To the Immortal Memory of Robert Burns. It was a cold, blustery day in January, 1759, in the village of Ayr, where Agnes Braun and William Burns beheld their newborn son, Robert, or Rabbie, as he was affectionately known. Little could they imagine that he would become a man that all Scotland would be proud of and would look to as its national guard for centuries to come. Robert's boyhood education consisted of the Bible, a book of English essays, and bits of French and Latin. His teacher, John Murdoch, said that Robert and his brother had no ear for music. But Robert joined a dancing class in Tarbolton in order to meet the lassies. He also formed a bachelor's club to meet and drink with his pals, and later joined the Freemasons. Robert's mother could not read or write, but she and another cousin, Betty Davidson, spent many hours at the fireside telling the children Scottish folk tales, and perhaps this was the foundation for many of Robert's tales. He wrote his first love song, Handsome Nell, when he was 14. He worked with Nell Kirkpatrick at harvest time in the fields, and when they walked home hand in hand in the evening, one evening, Nell sang him a local love song. It was that song, that holding of hands together, plus whatever else took place that evening, that decided his life's course. As he states, "Thus with me began love and poetry." That was the end of quote. There were to me many love songs and many lassies, ranging from farm girls to elegant society ladies, but he always looked back fondly upon Nell, his first love. Burns' father died in 1784, and he and his brother took a farm in Mossgiel, where he earned £7 a year. It was here that he wrote his first book, The Commonplace Book, and where he composed some of his most famous works, To a Mouse and The Jolly Beggar. "1784 was also the year that he met Jean Armour and fell madly in love and composed, Oh, my love is like a red, red rose. But like his life, love was not to run smoothly, because Jean's father would not allow her to marry him, and he packed her off to Paisley to marry a weaver. Burns was broken-hearted and found solace in the arms of Mary Campbell, whom he immortalized in the poem Highland Mary. Together they planned a new life in the Indies, but alas, this was not to be, for when she was waiting for him to join her at the docks, Mary became ill and died. Burns was shattered. Burns moved to Edinburgh in 1786, where he met the lovely Clorinda. There his works were well received, and he was the toast of Edinburgh. Clorinda was the one for whom he wrote I Fond Kiss. On a return visit to Mossgiel, he discovered that Jean Armour never did marry the weaver, and that she was pregnant with twins, his. Jean's father was going to throw her out on the street, and Burns went to her. They were married in February 1788 and set up house in Ellisland Farm, but the twins were born dead. 2 years later, Burns had an affair with Anne Parks, and she gave birth to a son. And Jean took the child in and raised it as her own. Of all his loves, none was as devoted and as understanding as his dear wife, Jean. She bore him 9 lawful children. She often said that Rabbi needed 2 wives. Throughout his short life, Burns had 14 children that he knew about. Although popular, he could not support himself solely on his poems, and so he took a job as an excise officer in Dumfries. In 1795, he contracted rheumatic fever. As he lay dying in his bed, his wife Jean lay in another bed awaiting the birth of their last child. As Burns was lowered into his grave, his last son, Maxwell, was born. Robert Burns has a unique place in the hearts of all Scots, partly because he was what so many of them wanted to be: romantic, handsome, and irresistible to women, and incapable of resisting them. The exceptional qualities of his lyrics spring from the perfect match of words and tune. His love songs are moving, passionate, without being false. Burns is one of the few poets who can express happiness without making it sound boring. The other side of his genius was expressed in his great patriotism and personal radicalism in denouncing hypocrisy and extolling the liberty and dignity of the common person. Listen to his philosophy in his own words, quote, "Whatever mitigates the woes or increases the happiness of the other, this is my criterion of goodness. And whatever injures society at large, or any individual in it, this is my measure of iniquity." End of quote. It can be said of Burns that his words connected with people everywhere because he wrote about things they had experienced and could understand. He never made much money, but he was a loving father to all his children. People could identify with him because he was just like them. He liked a good drink with his pals, and he enjoyed flirting with the lassies. He was a hard-working, talented, but filled with flaws. The real man, the real Robert Burns, is revealed through his poetry and his music. He was generous of spirit, soft-hearted, and had a quick mind and a sharp wit. He was fiercely proud of his humble beginnings and hated snobbery. He loved his country and its struggles for freedom. He believed in and supported American fight for independence. He quickly gave credit where credit was due, but spoke out loudly against hypocrisy, cruelty, discrimination, and the evils of slavery. He doled out his insults with an accusing finger and words of unbridled passion. Robert Burns' words have an abiding place in the hearts of all people everywhere. His words reflect a man of sincerity and honesty, a man capable of great feeling, a man who found his inspiration in the people and the environment that surrounded him. Robert Burns has left us a heritage of unspoiled beauty in his poems and in his music. He has kindled a flame that will burn steadfastly throughout the ages, not only in Scottish hearts, but in the hearts of people of every nationality, in every age, who can identify with the honesty, humor, love of country, and the dignity of the common person, and the passions, joys, and sorrows of love. So here's to the man we call the bard. Here's to the man we hold in high regard. Here's to the monarch and his pen. When will we see his like again? So raise your glasses and toast the immortal memory of Robert Burns.
And that's your history lesson for the day. Great job, Margaret. Well done. A tough act to follow. I have the great pleasure of giving the toast to the lassies. I have to be careful what I say here because my wife is standing back there and so I've got myself a little note here and I want to talk about the lassies. Women, ladies, girls, dames, gods, females, and as we Glasgow hooligans would call them, wee cheeky buggies, or just wee bugs. Have you ever stopped to think why so many names are used to describe the opposite of man? The reason is quite simple, and the man who we're here to honor tonight, Robert Burns, knew the answer. It is that there are no two exactly the same. What do you think Burns would say today if he could see the progress, that's what you call it, the lassies have made in our society? Lassies are monarchs of countries, prime ministers, heads of large corporations, teachers, lawyers, doctors, scientists, etc., etc. There are large ones and small ones, old ones and young ones, which reminds me of a story of a young lassie in her 20s who married a gentleman in his 70s. One day she wasn't feeling very well, so she went to the doctor. He examined her and said, "You're pregnant." Wow. She was very upset. She went out to the office, picked up the telephone and called her husband. She screamed at him, "You old rascal, you dirty old man, you made me pregnant." There was a pause at the other end and the old gentleman replied, "Who's calling, please?" Then, this very differently thought of spouses. As an example, on our way here tonight, the passenger door of the car in front of us opened up and a woman fell out. It was obvious to me that the driver didn't notice, so I sped up my car, overtook his car and waved him down. I approached the driver and informed him that his wife had fallen out of the car a few miles back. He said, "Oh, thank God, I thought I'd gone deaf." It's a known fact that we Scots are a wee bit cautious with our money, which reminds me of another story. Apparently, Jock and his friend Hamish were having a drink in a pub in Edinburgh, and they were discussing that what they were discussing was having about another pub down the street. We Jock had heard for £1.50 you could get a beer and all the free love you could handle in the back room. The barman overheard this discussion and asked Jock if he had ever been there himself. Jock replied, "No, but my sister has." So, there must be some Englishman in there somewhere. So what has all this got to do with Robert Burns? Nothing other than the fact that he did appreciate the lassies, and without him, he would not have been able to write many of his poems. I have chosen some verses and some quotes that I hope you'll enjoy. They're not the most known ones, they are different. I'd like to read them to you, please. "I have been a devil the feck of my life, but never was I beheld until I met with a wife. A woman can make an average man great, and a great man average." I'm going to say that again. A woman can make an average man great, I'm sorry, dude, and a great man average. Not bad for an old farmer 250 years ago. "To see her is to love her, and to love but her forever, for nature made her what she is, and never made another. All nature swears the lovely dears, her noblest work she classes, her prentice hand she tried on man, and then she made the lasses. So I ask you, the gentlemen, please raise your glasses if you are able to stand, and raise your glasses to the lassies. Stand, gentlemen, if you can. You're still capable. To the lassies, God bless them.
Well, somehow I have to follow those two wonderful storytellers, right? And my job is to give a toast to the laddies. Now, I'll tell you some features about our brawl laddies. They seem to, when they get in a car, have a wee bit of trouble with directions. There's also a problem when they're asked to multitask. What do you want me to do? You want me to do 12 things at once? I can't do 12 things at once. So there they are, our brawl laddies. And then there's also that problem of dates. They kind of can't get it through their brains that a wife or a girlfriend may need a birthday card. And on the other hand, there's Valentine's Day. They don't know where that comes from, and they nearly always forget that Valentine's Day. But the biggest one is the wedding anniversary. Oh my Lord, what the wife has to say when they forget the wedding anniversary. Well, now I've told you all the bad things about these brawl laddies. I'll tell you some of the good. We lassies, who do we call when the toilet leaks? We call the brawl laddie, right? And who do we call when we go out and start the car and it's dead as a doornail? We call the brawl laddie. And then, best of all, when we females have one of those emotional breakdowns that we have periodically, who's there with their shoulder and their hug to give us courage and let us go on? So ladies, if you can stand, please stand and raise your glasses to our brawl laddies. Now, if you have looked at your program, there is Robert Burns' Celtic Grace at the foot of the program. So if you're capable of joining me, we will say the Celtic Grace before dinner, okay? So let's do that right now. Some can eat and cannot eat, some eat that don't want, but we can eat and we can eat, and say the Lord be thanked. Thank you very much. I hope what